Hey, what's going on, dudes? Kalamazi here, and today I want to talk to you all about the Warlock changes that have taken place in 8.1. Now, I know in previous videos I've highlighted the changes that were going to take place, and I gave my thoughts on how certain talents and traits are going to be stacking up. And today I want to talk about how those traits have actually been performing in Mythic Plus and Raids in the current builds that I'm running, as Demonology, Destruction, and Affliction in Mythic Plus and Raid settings as well. If you're interested in any of the weak auras or add-ons you see here, I have a link to my Twitch and Discord in the description below, where you can find them all. Now, as we all probably know by now, Baleful Invocation is powerful. It's easily the most powerful trait we've received across all three specs in 8.1. It provides a large amount of additional opening burst or priority add burst if need be. It does lose a good bit of value past the first trait though, but having one is pretty much required for Demonology in every setting. There are two talents that surprised me, however, in testing once 8.1 was live, and the first is actually Baleful Bombers. Now, I will admit that I did dismiss Bombers in the later stages of PTR, but how wrong I actually was. Baleful Bombers is a very strong talent that we have available to us in the very first row as Demonology, and it has to be when competing with other talents like Dreadlash and Demonic Strength. It gives Demonology one of the elements that it was missing in Mythic Plus, and that's strong opening burst. Sure, you do have Demonic Strength every minute or so, and you can set up a strong Implosion or two. Both of those take time. Baleful Bombers is on only a 30-second cooldown and deals a massive amount of damage in a very short period of time. The other talent that I wanted to mention is out of the final talent row, and it's Nether Portal. Nether Portal is on a 3-minute cooldown, and whenever you spend Soul Shards, it has a chance to actually summon additional demons from the Nether for a short period of time. Now, I'll admit that I did dismiss this talent in early testing, but I did fail to take into consideration the fact that your Demonic Tyrant now extends the duration of the demon summoned by the portal, which was a change in later PTR. That, in addition to its shard reduction in 8.1, makes it a very powerful talent. While it's still a bit early to pass Final Judgment, it, in addition to Baleful Bombers, has certainly been picking up steam over the last 24 hours in Uldir. Doom is also now scaling with haste, but its actual performance has been hit or miss so far, with most builds actually sticking to Demonic Calling over it. This is the build that I've been running for Mythic Plus as Demonology. Baleful Bombers is very strong, as already mentioned, and with all the movement that Mythic Plus brings, Soul Strike has been stronger than Summon Vile Fiend. I've been running it with a trait combination of 1 Supreme Commander, 1 Baleful Invocation, and 1 Demonic Meteor. This build is what I have run for most raid encounters, and I feel it's pretty close to optimal. At this point, 8.1 has been live for just over 48 hours, but I think it's pretty close. I do think that Sacrifice Souls and Nether Portal are both great choices in the 100 row, but I have not settled on which I prefer most right now. I am a fan of Demonic Calling more than Doom currently, but I also feel that it needs a lot more testing before I'm certain. The Azerite configuration of 1 Supreme Commander, 1 Baleful Invocation, and 1 Archetype of the Titans is what you should be looking for inside Uldir. Affliction has been the go-to spec for a while now, and whether you love it or hate it, remains strong in 8.1. I did speak a great deal about Pandemic Invocation before the patch went live on how I was hesitant of the trait in Mythic Plus and certain raid scenarios as well. After testing it in Mythic Plus for a few days, I can safely say that I'm not a fan in the least. The problem with PI in Mythic Plus is that there's just too much unpredictability. Sometimes you pull 2 to 3 packs at a time, sometimes the tank dies, and sometimes mobs that you're casting your seed on just run away, ruining your PI refresh. That, coupled with the fact that it's pretty much impossible to refresh Agony on larger pulls in their PI window, left a very sour taste in my mouth. There's also the problem with the trait being a bit counterintuitive with Affliction's gameplay. One of Affliction's strengths is that it's always been a mobile spec that was able to refresh its dots while on the move for mechanics or for other reasons, but running PI makes that a DPS loss in a sense now. Seeing as how these situations arise in both raids and Mythic Plus, I'm not a huge fan of the trait. Just take a look at the recent top parsers for Affliction in Uldir, and you'll see that it's not been performing as well as expected. I also wanted to touch a bit on Inevitable Demise and the changes it received. While it was a nerf in a sense, mainly not being able to go past 50 stacks, the trait is still a decent option for Mythic Plus and a good trait for raiding. The healing it provides is also very strong on certain fights, such as the last phase of Mythic Cahoon, or many different spots in Mythic Plus where the group is in a tight spot overall. It is important to keep in mind that it did receive a small damage buff to compensate for these changes, so that 50 stack is still hitting harder than a 50 stack did before 8.1, but it's just not hitting as hard as a 100 stack did before 8.1. I have been running a build consisting of Deathbolt, Writhe in Agony, Phantom Singularity, Haunt, and Darksoul Misery for Mythic Plus, and a build of Deathbolt, Siphon Life, Phantom Singularity, Haunt, and Darksoul Misery for most single target raid encounters. Absolute Corruption is also a solid choice in Mythic Plus if you don't have 2 or more pieces with sudden onset on them, and also a good choice on certain fights like Mythic Mithrax inside Uldir. A combination of sudden onset, inevitable demise, or racking brilliance works well in Mythic Plus, and as far as Uldir goes, you certainly want 1 stack of Archive, and then I would shoot for either racking brilliance, cascading calamity, inevitable demise, or more Archive stacks. Finally, we have Destruction, which, to be honest, probably got the short end of the stick in 8.1. While Chaos Shards is a decent trait, it's not one that's seen much use in Uldir as of yet. Sadly, it's also a trait that loses a bit of value past the first stack, as it will not generate 2 or 3 shards at 2 or 3 stacks. The good thing with Chaos Shards, however, is that the buff to Incinerate's damage is the more important reason to have it, so it does not lose as much percentage-wise as you would, say, running a second stack of Baleful Invocation for Demonology. Destruction still can provide a tremendous amount of AoE and 2-target burst in both Mythic Plus and Uldir, which makes it a strong choice now as well with fight durations getting shorter and shorter every reset. This is the build that I've been running for Mythic Plus as Destruction, which is very similar to the build that I've been running in raids for Destruction, really only swapping Grimoire Supremacy for Roaring Blaze. I've been running double Crashing Chaos with 1 Archive inside Uldir, and a build of 1 Rolling Havoc, 1 Flashpoint, and 1 Crashing Chaos in Mythic Plus, but I feel that Crashing Chaos could easily be swapped for a better secondary stat proc. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this gave you all a better understanding of how Warlocks are looking just a few days after the 8.1 patch. I will admit that Biosword's Bombers is much better than I expected, and I'm also very happy to see Nether Portal performing well. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get back to you. If you want to see more WoW content and help support the channel, smash those like, share, and subscribe buttons, as your support really helps. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you all on Azeroth. Peace.